In this video, you'll learn about working with file versions of a design. Specifically, you'll learn how to create a new version, open multiple versions at once, promote an older version, and finally, you'll learn about how to create, edit, and promote a milestone. Anytime you save a file, a new version is created. This is beneficial because you no longer have to worry about the most current file or worry about creating multiple copies, and you can always go back to any previous versions if you need to. Let's take a look at how this functionality works. We have a bike frame design open. On the tab at the top of the window, you'll notice that we have the file name as well as V1 next to the file name. If we go over to the data panel and locate our file, you'll also notice the V1 at the bottom right corner. V1 stands for version 1. Note that as soon as you start making changes, an asterisk will appear next to the V1 on the tab at the top of the window to let you know a change has been made. Let's make our change. As a designer, you are told that the shaft this frame mounts onto has changed from 22mm to 19mm. Click the inner face of this sleeve to select it, then right-click to access the marking menu and select Press Pull. In this case, Press Pull lets you change the diameter of this hole. We'll enter 19mm. Since we made a change to the design, as expected, the asterisk appears. Now that we've made a change, we can save the design and create a new version. Let's click Save. You'll get prompted for a version description. Let's type in changed sleeve diameter from 22mm to 19mm. The level of detail you go to in your description is entirely based on your preference. More on the milestone functionality later. Let's leave it deselected for now. Just note that you cannot create a milestone the very first time you save your design. In any subsequent saves, you can create a milestone. Click OK. This will create a new version. Let's take a look at the data panel again. V1 has changed to V2 to reflect the version being updated. Click V2 to see some more information. The History tab tells us how many versions there are and who they were made by. We can see that we have two versions. The Users tab shows us the files of a design uses. The Used In tab shows us the files of a design is used in. Lastly, the Drawings tab shows us if there are any associated drawings with our design. We know version 2 is open because we can see the V2 next to the file name on the tab at the top of the window. To open up multiple versions for visual comparison, go back to the History tab and mouse over version 1 so the More button appears. Then click the More button and select Open. Now we have version 1 and version 2 open, and we can hop across the tabs to see the difference. Note that previous versions are opened as read-only. A read-only file can be saved as a new file using the Save As command. Close version 1. Next, you are told you need to increase the height of this connector by 8mm. Let's go ahead and make this change. Click the top face of the connector to select it, then right-click to access the marking menu and select Press Pull. In this case, Press Pull lets you increase the height of the connector. We'll enter 8mm. Let's save our change. You'll get prompted for a version description again. Let's say added 8mm to connector height. Click OK. Note that we're updating the file with the new version, version 3. It's good practice to save your file by versioning it each time you make a few design changes. This lets you roll back on your design later on, especially if you're uncertain whether you're heading in the right direction with your design changes. Let's say it turns out that the last change we made to the connector's height was not necessary. This is where versioning is useful. You can always roll back to version 2, which was the version before the change to the connector. Go to the data panel and mouse over version 2 of the file. Click the More button, then click Promote. This will create a new version, version 4, which is an exact copy of version 2. This way of promoting a version helps preserve the history of the file's design changes. Note that we're working in version 3, which is not the latest version. Fusion 360 lets us know by telling us that a newer version of the document exists. Let's now close version 3 and open the latest version, version 4. Now, our latest version only includes the change we made to the diameter of the sleeve. Let's say we're happy we've met the customer requirements at this stage. Now may be a good time to create a milestone. You can create a milestone to indicate that you have reached a significant stage in your design's development. It also lets other people working on the same project know if updates have been made. Milestones make it easy for multiple users to work on the same project. For example, when milestones are used on components and subcomponents, one user can work on a subcomponent and save work during the design process. When the subcomponent is ready for sharing, a milestone is created. The upper level component is then triggered as being out of date. Others working on that upper level component can then update the design once to include all the changes made in the milestone, rather than each time a small change is made with the version. There are two ways you can create a milestone. When you've made a change, you can click the Save button, then select the milestone checkbox, then enter a milestone description, then click OK. Alternatively, you can go to the Data panel and create a milestone. Mouse over version 4, click the More button, then select Create Milestone. You are prompted to enter a milestone name, which is a required field. Optionally, you can add some notes to describe your milestone. Enter Updated with customer requirements as the description. Click Create Milestone. Once done, let's go back to our Data panel. We can see that the history of the file is updated with our milestone name and description. We can also see a black flag added next to the milestone to indicate a milestone. When you mouse over the milestone and click the More button, you can select Edit Milestone. Here you can change the name and description of the milestone. Once done, select the check mark. Like regular file versions, if you have multiple milestone versions, or you have a milestone that is followed by later versions, you can choose to promote that milestone. Click the More button next to the milestone that you want to promote, and then select Promote. Once promoted, it no longer keeps its milestone status and changes to a file version. When saved, a new milestone can be created again. This concludes the video. To summarize, in this video, you learned how to create a new version, open multiple versions at once, promote an older version, and finally, you learned about how to create, edit, and promote a milestone. Thanks for watching.